Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for our weekly mayoral news conference. We don't have a lot today, but just some high points that we need to hit, and we also have a very special guest joining us today. So with that, I will turn things over to the mayor. Once he's done speaking, we'll take just a few questions as usual.
Good afternoon. Again, thank you for joining us for our weekly press briefing. Let me begin this press briefing in memory and in honor of a longtime servant of the city of Jackson, Miss LaWanda Horton, who served in our Department of Administration for many, many years, even rising to the position of the director of our Department of Administration. We were informed today that she passed away, and so we're continuing to not only pray for her husband, former chief of the police, Lindsey Horton, but the entire family. She has served for so many years with the city of Jackson that people who worked beside her, alongside her for many years, consider her family. So there are people working within the city that are, addressing her loss and on a somber note. So we remember her great service and ask that the city of Jackson pray for her family. Along those same lines, we certainly want to submit our prayer petitions on behalf of the family of the young man who was killed in the St. Patrick's Day parade this weekend. In addition to those others who were victims of gunshot wounds. We understand how traumatizing gun violence is, not only to victims, but victims' families. And so that's why it's important that we continue to work in order to create public safety measures that make our community safer. I want to commend the Jackson Police Department. While Capitol Police did and do have primary jurisdiction within the area in which the shooting took place, JPD, as they always do, were assisting in that process, even to the extent that JPD officers were providing rides as an ambulatory service of sorts to victims of gunshot wounds to the hospital. I do want to call forward Chief Wade to give further update. I do want to provide this clarification because some residents have asked me. They have inquired about the lack of ambulatory services or sufficient ambulatory services. I just want to be clear whether there was a sufficient amount or not, that the city of Jackson does not run the ambulatory contract. That is with the county. So, I cannot speak in detail about that. But with that, I'll give you Chief Wade. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon. To echo the sentiments of the mayor, my prayers, thoughts, and condolences go out to the individuals injured and the young man who lost his life on Saturday night. The St. Patrick's Day Parade is a worthwhile event and occasion. They are raising money for the Mississippi Children's Hospital or Children of Mississippi Hospital. But we continue to have lawless, reckless cowards who plague our community with gun violence. We had a primary mission with the St. Patrick's Day Parade events. That's to thwart and prevent terroristic activities, acts of domestic terrorism, and acts committed by hate groups. And want to make sure that nobody plowed down the parade route and took life. Jackson Police Department's involvement consisted of 84 police officers. 84 police officers were assigned to the St. Patrick's Day detail. We had a huge footprint. The units that worked the event was our SWAT team, our bomb unit, K-9 unit, detectives, traffic unit, mounted patrol, park rangers. We had drone support. We had SkyCop support, which means mobile cameras. We also had our real-time command center monitoring activities during the parade. We had our training staff assigned to the detail and our intelligence unit assigned to the detail and our whole entire command staff. I personally walked the entire parade route myself. It was a collaborative effort between the Capitol Police Department, the Hinds County Sheriff's Office, Jackson Public School Law Enforcement, and I want to thank Jackson FBI for being situated in our command post as we talked about domestic terrorism acts on this parade. The goal was to prevent what happened in New Orleans. We did not want that to happen here in the city of Jackson. So to that end and to that regard, it was a success. But at the end and after the culmination of the parade, then the foolishness, the chaos started. We started receiving calls around the city auditorium about what I categorize in a colloquial term, schoolyard fights with teenagers that were being streamed on social media. When law enforcement arrived, they ran. No arrests were made. And there were definitely signs of fighting due to the hair pieces and wigs and other items left on the ground. So we understand that there was something that happened. Very disturbing when I see girls out there fighting girls on the video and people just watching, filming that, not taking any type of action, just admiring it. When I see boys fighting girls, and we wonder why we have an issue with domestic violence in our city. I am calling to action and asking the parents, if you recognize your child in these viral videos, please take action. I'm asking you to take responsibility and ownership for your children's actions. Apparently they were unsupervised, and if you want to know what that looks like, I'm asking the parents to come to my office, or I'll come to you, and we can discuss what happened at the St. Patrick's Day Parade involving these kids and youth in our community. Now, you don't have to, but as we move forward, you can get ready for your child to graduate to other crimes in our community. So I'm asking that we intervene now before we get to that point. But I'm also disappointed and disgusted that we have so many people that took the time to live stream it, but take no action. To take no action whatsoever. Now, to turn the page briefly, there was a shooting incident that happened at and around the 4th Avenue on Saturday night. My team was still out. I was still out. Chief Watts was still out. And we got the report that 8 people had been shot at that location. My heart hurt because I know the effort and the time that we put into making that event safe. And of course, this was not a part of the official parade. This was something after hours, several hours later, with some individuals who don't know how to handle their alcohol. They get very brave with a gun in their hand and decide to be reckless. Capitol Police is leading the investigation. I did talk to Chief Bo Luckey on Saturday night while I was out, and he was out as well. And I did talk to him this morning. Any assistance that we can give them to mitigate this, to address it, and to solve this crime, please help them and please help us. You can contact the Capitol Police Department, or you can contact us at JPD 601-960-1234, or contact Crime Stoppers 601-355-TIPS. And I ask that we all keep those families uplifted in prayer. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you again, Chief. And again, we ask that everyone lift up the families of those affected. When Chief Wade speaks of the numbers that JPD not only had, but in addition to JPD, working alongside other law enforcement agencies. It shows that there was certainly a strong presence of law enforcement out there, but yet and still, we still see the violence that took place, that unfortunately took place. Now, I do not think that it's a proper characterization to say that most of what we saw on Saturday was violence, because we saw more than 100,000, we believe, residents and visitors out enjoying themselves. And it's sad that the narrative we have to speak to today is not about, our ability to celebrate ourselves and our city, but instead the violence that took place. But when Chief Wade talks about the presence of law enforcement and we still see violence, it really brings us to the point that we have to understand that there are other investments that we have to make. We've continued to talk about building up our Office of Violence Prevention and Trauma Recovery so that we ultimately have people within community who don't take permanent solutions to temporary problems. I am happy to have a special guest with us here today. He has served as the 9th U.S. Secretary of Education under Barack Obama. I consider him a friend, and I'm grateful to have witnessed firsthand the work that he has been engaged in Chicago, Illinois, working with CREED, which is an organization that focuses on violence reduction, credible messenger programming, and a number of other things. And he's given me the ability to witness their work firsthand. And this is what we're trying to learn from and build out in the city of Jackson. And so I'd like to ask former U.S. Secretary of Education, Arne Duncan, to come forward and share a few words with you. Thank you. Thank you, Secretary. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to be back in Jackson. I'm not happy to be here in this under these circumstances. I hate that it keeps happening. I'll just say I've had the pleasure of bringing down young men in the program we run in Chicago to Jackson a couple times, and obviously the links between Jackson and Mississippi and Chicago run deep, and many of the young men and the families I work with on the south and west sides have family here, and we're all in this together. We're struggling with violence, you're struggling with violence, we're all trying to learn together. None of us have all the answers, but I've appreciated the partnership and appreciated what we've learned from folks here in Jackson. We've had a couple community forums that have been really, really powerful, and I'm down here by myself this time, but look forward to bringing the young men we serve back another time. Secondly, I just have to be, I'm always honest, or better or worse. There are St. Patty's Day parades all over the world, and it's only in America where we have gun violence. And that's just a choice that we make here in the United States. And I just want to state that, unequivocally. And it might be a parade, it might be a bar, it might be a church, it might be a school, it might be a mall, it might be a movie theater. But we have allowed and normalized violence here in our country in a way that other countries simply don't. They don't tolerate it. They don't allow it. There are lots of people who drink too much on St. Patty's Day. There are lots of people who drink too much all over the world on many weekends. They don't have access to guns. And until we decide that our children are more valuable, more important than our guns, we're going to continue to see these massive losses of life. Mass shootings like this, unfortunately, I have way too much experience with it. It is horrific. And the trauma, the ripples of trauma, it's not one person dead and 8 people shot. It's hundreds of family members and communities impacted who will never be the same. Never be the same, and it does not have to be this way. It's a choice that we make here in the United States that I wish we could choose something different. My final point, just to echo what the mayor said, is you can have the best police force in the world. You can have almost 100 officers out there, which is mind-boggling to me. You need 100 officers to try and have a parade, but that's sort of what we'll come to, and it's still insufficient. And that's not a critique of the police. They can't do it by themselves. And so how we work on the front end on violence prevention, we say all the time that hurt people hurt people. How do we help young men heal from trauma? How do you work with the gangs, cliques, crews, whatever you might call them here, to find some peace? And in Chicago, we're putting in place non-aggression agreements and peace treaties, doing trauma therapy and helping people heal from this. And it's the most powerful thing in the world to see folks who have shot at each other, where there's been bloodshed on both sides, decide that nobody's winning, everyone's losing. They put down the guns. And so when the mayor calls for increased investment on violence prevention and on giving people an off-ramp from these cycles of violence, I just think that's desperately important. And for me, it is complementary to the extraordinarily hard work that the police do every single day. We can't arrest our way out of this as a country. We should absolutely have consequences for those who shoot, but we have to give people a reason to put down the guns, figure out a different way to handle their emotions, handle conflict, handle trauma. That has to be on the violence prevention side. So whatever we can try to do to help, whatever we can try to do to learn together, we are all, unfortunately, in this together. I've talked to people around the country, they say our shared pain makes us family. I hate that's what makes us family these days, but that's real. The only way to stop that pain is to do some things very differently together. And whatever I can do to support those efforts here in Jackson, I'm all in. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I referred to Arnie as a friend, and I mean that sincerely. I tell people often that there's a difference between being friendly and being a friend. A friend is a person who cares about the people you love, cares about your community, and he's shown up on multiple occasions to talk about how we reduce violence in Jackson, how that connects to the violence that is seen in Chicago and other places. He has a tremendous spirit of humility. They opened the doors and allowed me to witness the work that they were doing in Chicago. He commonly referred to the program as involving to everyone but himself, right? That was the community's work. And so he operates in a spirit of an indigenous organizer who once said that if you have come here to save me, you are wasting your time. But if you have come because you find your liberation bound up with mine, come let us work together, right? And so I'm thankful not only for the message that you shared today, but the work that we continue to learn from or learn together in terms of how we can make our communities safer. Let me run through a few other items here before I open it up for questions. Well, yeah, I think we can just go. Just a couple other notes. If you have any questions, I'm ready to accept them now. Yes.
So what were some of the safety protocols put in place for the parade?
I would invite Chief here, but what I can say is you not only had uniformed officers, you had plainclothes officers, you had the real-time command center, you had the engagement of more than JPD, you had the engagement of Capitol Police, they had some footprint, you had the Sheriff's Department out there, you had exits or entry points to the parade blocked off, as he said, in order to avoid an incident like what was seen, unfortunately, in New Orleans, Louisiana, where somebody was able to, ride through a crowd of people. We wanted to prevent that, so those locations were restricted. In fact, the violence that took place, the shooting specifically, actually was after the parade was done, right? So there was still a strong presence of JPD officers that were there, as well as we believe Capitol was in the area because this is their primary jurisdiction.
Yeah, when you talk about protocol, we had a very detailed plan of action. Like I talked about, we're talking about domestic terrorism. You're talking about a soft target of over 100,000 people in downtown Jackson, right? So to that end, it was a collaborative effort, not only on the local level with Capitol, along with the Hinds County Sheriff's Department, and along with the FBI, who was situated on our command bus. We had drone support. We had cameras in the area. I talked about our SWAT team. If you had looked up, you would have saw police on top of the building, all right? So it was a very large-scale event. We even had large school buses, fire trucks blocking ingress and egress points where nobody could come into the parade and run over people like what happened in New Orleans. Now, part of our detail was not doing, let me phrase this right, bar security or nightlife security at private events and pop-up parties. Our job was to mitigate that parade and there was no casualties during the parade. It was a success. We had people coming in here from across the country, not just from North Jackson or South Jackson, from across the country and across the state here for the event. And I just hate that we have this cloud that is just, seems to me just confirmation bias about, hey, none can happen in Jackson, it's all bad, right? We put over 600, I think we drilled down 688 man-hours on that parade. 688 man-hours, over 84 police officers, including myself, out there, boots on the ground. But then we have some individual, some coward who ran like a cockroach when you turn the lights on, or a rat when you stomp your feet. He cast this cloud over a great event that happened here in the city of Jackson. So we've got to bring him to justice and hold him accountable. But also, you can't just bring your kids to events, drop them off, and leave, right? We saw why with all the viral videos. I am very pleased with our plan of action. We're going to do a follow-up after-action report, not only with us, but with our partners, to see what we could have done better. Because I always believe in that no matter what happened, we could have done something better. We'll look at that and what that looks like, but we also need to look at all these pop-up parties after the event that cast this cloud over a great event for the city of Jackson.
Chief, so you only suspect one shooter at this time, and do you think it was gang-related, or was it more just like youth violence?
I don't know. I assume that no youth were at that club. I don't know. Capitol is leading that investigation. I really can't say whether it was gang-related, whether it was interpersonal conflict. Most of the time, that's what it is. Somebody who's liquored up, who don't know how to mitigate conflict, who's not emotionally mature enough to walk away. I think that's more or less what we're looking at, but I do not know for sure. But again, I did talk to Chief Luckey this morning. We're open and available to assist them. We know it's their primary jurisdiction. But that violence not only impacted Capitol, it impacted the whole city of Jackson, because my phone rang all weekend. If it wasn't about the shooting, it was about these kids out here fighting. And somebody asked me a very pointed question, and I reversed it. Where were the police? My question is, where were the parents? When you got your kids out here fighting like it's the UFC in the city auditorium parking lot, where are the parents? All right? Thank you.
Again, to your question, there was a very strong presence of law enforcement. But unfortunately, we still saw violence, and that's why other investments have to be made. And to Secretary Duncan's point, we have to recognize that there has to be something done about the unmitigated use of guns, right? It only takes one individual when you have weapons that can, cause instant, destruction on a community. Instead, we're not talking about the 100,000 plus people that were having an amazing time, that were enjoying our city, that there was nothing but a spirit of love out there. I want to take a moment to thank Malcolm White and the Howland Miles family that have been putting on this parade for some time. I know that they've adjusted the management of who runs that parade, but they were the creators. We had the great pleasure of revealing the Hal White Way, street that has been named in honor of Hal White, his brother. So it was I think first and foremost, we always want to respect and honor the loss of life for anyone and make certain that we're lifting the family up. But we have to better control our narrative as a city so that we talk about the great joy, excitement, and love that is present in our city, as opposed to lifting up the negativity that takes place. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so talk about a lot about the manpower and being on the ground. Were there any metal detectors or anything like that set up?
So we wouldn't be in control of that. I can tell you that city ordinance would require there to be some level of detection and security services in a place like that, so I would assume. I do not know the particulars about when the gun was first shot, how it was acquired, or, any of those things. And as Chief Wade has expressed, the city of Jackson is not actually over this investigation. This is Capitol Police's primary jurisdiction. JPD only came out as assistance, right, in a strong way because they knew that the work needed to be done. Not only did they help in terms of the investigation, but literally there were JPD officers transporting individuals to the hospital. And so that was nothing but love from the Jackson Police Department. Yes, sir.
And I know that Capitol Police has the primary jurisdiction, but, when something like this happens, we talk a lot about the Office of Violence Prevention and Trauma Recovery. How does that office respond to something like this?
Well, specifically to something like this, that office, we're trying to build it up to be equipped to first go to the families that are impacted, right? That helps with reducing the likelihood of retaliation in circumstances like that. So that's how it immediately responds to it. But we have to understand that the idea or the objective of public safety happens long before a gun is fired, right? It happens with the support we provide in community. It happens with credible messengers who can relate to young people who are at high risk to be engaged in gun violence. It happens with giving them resources and tools for employment and financial support. It happens with social workers and mental health professionals that engage our young people that may be dealing with a lot that we are unaware of. So it happens in a number of respects. It happens with supporting the organizations that are already on the ground and been doing this work. Organizations like Living with Purpose that is working in our youth detention center. Organizations like Strong Arms of Jackson, which is a credible messenger program. Organizations like Operation Good, which within about a 6-block radius in one of the areas that had some of the most gun violence or shooting, incidents of shooting, where they were able to reduce the number of gunshots, almost for a year period of time. They were able to do this with establishing relationships, right? We can't parachute in and give a message to, young people or people who may be lost, whether they're young or old, or who may be engaged in harm, and say, hey, do you know that you can get in trouble for harm? Do you know that you can go to jail, right? Do you know that this is problematic? The reality is this: people don't fire a gun because they don't know that you can go to jail for it, that they don't know that could possibly cause harm in your community or to yourself. People do that because they've already been in a cycle of harm, and that needs to be addressed. That doesn't mean that I'm saying that when someone fires a gun, that I'm not saying that there's an appropriate response when they hit someone and that we don't prosecute that. But I am saying that if we invest more on the front end, like any other investment, it tends to lead to the results of where you're trying to go to improve. All right, thank you again. Once again, we end on the note of praying for the family of the young man that was lost, as well as all of those who were affected by the gun violence. I ask for your prayers for Chief Lindsey Horton as they grieve the loss of Miss LaWanda Horton. And I thank my friend Arnie Duncan for joining us today. Thank you so much.